Have you ever stopped to think about how someone's unique way of thinking, maybe their personal philosophy or even just who they are, could show up in something
Yeah.
like a video game strategy?
It's a fascinating idea, isn't it, how the abstract parts of us might find concrete form.
Exactly. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're actually going on a bit of a journey into the mind of an individual we'll call Tommy, and we're doing it, surprisingly, through the world of League of Legends.
Yeah, the sources we've got today are pretty unique. First up, there's this really detailed breakdown of a specific League of Legends team comp, 5 champions picked very deliberately to mirror Tommy's personality.
And honestly, maybe even more interesting, there's a second source, a concept designed for Tommy himself as a playable champion in the game. Like, if he was a character.
It's quite something.
It really is. So our mission here is to unpack these sources, see if we can find some surprising insights about creativity, strategic thinking, maybe even identity, all sort of distilled into game mechanics.
And for you listening, this should be a kind of shortcut, maybe, to understanding how these really complex, abstract ideas can be expressed concretely, how you can map a person's mind onto a totally different system.
Okay, let's start with that team comp then, the Tommy team. The basic idea, and it really makes you think, is how you can choose specific characters in the league to reflect someone's core identity, maybe their different sides, their whole outlook.
Right. And what's really compelling here, I think, is that it's not just, picking 5 strong champions. It's a deliberate composition, almost like a mosaic trying to capture the essence of how this person thinks and creates.
Okay, let's pull apart the roles. First, top lane, Heimerdinger, the inventor. He's that sort of isolated genius character, always tinkering, setting up his turrets, controlling his zone.
Yeah, and that just perfectly nails, apparently, Tommy's system building side, that design-focused part of him, the love for creating order and managing complexity within his own space.
Makes sense. Then in the jungle, we've got Bard, the cosmic drifter. He's described as this wanderer, collecting myths or chimes in the game, popping up unexpectedly through portals.
Bard feels like the embodiment of Tommy's love for exploration, for serendipity, finding those unexpected connections. It's that finding meaning in the journey, maybe not always the most direct path.
Okay, mid lane, Twisted Fate, the gambler poet. He's all about chance, destiny, flipping cards, teleporting across the map. Very unpredictable.
And TF, yeah, he really seems to reflect Tommy's comfort with uncertainty, that ability to improvise, to navigate, maybe even enjoy the unpredictable parts of life, or, well, creating something.
Down on the bot lane, the ADC role, attack damage care, we have Jhin, the legacy artist, precision, artistry, beauty, mortality. His whole thing is making death into this, calculated performance.
And this connection points to Tommy's focus on legacy, on design, and especially what the source calls the poetic weight of imperfection. So, just like Jhin finds beauty in that one perfect shot, not just spraying bullets, Tommy seems to value the significance found within limits, maybe even in the flaws of a creation.
Interesting angle. And finally, support. Zilean, the timekeeper. He's this ancient scholar manipulating timelines, offering second chances with his ultimate ability, very focused on time and narrative.
Zilean clearly mirrors Tommy's introspective side, right? And that fascination the source mentions with nonlinear storytelling, how events connect across time, looking backwards and forwards.
So, okay, looking at all 5, it's really clear this isn't just a random lineup. It feels like a psychological puzzle, almost. Each champion is a piece of Tommy's personality.
That's exactly it. And if you think about the bigger picture, it really challenges how we normally think about strategy in games like League. It suggests there's this deep artistic, maybe philosophical layer influencing everything.
Yeah, the source actually breaks down these unifying themes. You've got creativity, right? Heimerdinger, Jhin, Bard, they're all about inventing, building, composing. Then philosophy. Zilean and Twisted Fate, focusing on time, fate, story.
But it's not all serious, is it? There's also whimsy and chaos, coming from Bard and TF. That movement, unpredictability, maybe even joy, which is balanced nicely, I think, by structure and precision from Jhin, Heimerdinger, and Zilean. That's about legacy, intention, design.
The source uses this brilliant analogy. It says they're like an improv jazz band meets a meta-mythology council.
Huh. That actually captures it perfectly, that mix of spontaneous creation, but with this, deep conceptual underpinning.
Yeah, and the driving purpose they mention really gets to the core theme. Artists of the abstract. They're not just fighters. They're described as creators, sculptors of time, space, story, emotion. Their goal isn't just winning. It's leaving behind a masterpiece.
Which is a completely different way to frame playing the game.
Totally.
Yeah.
So this sounds like a team that relies heavily on creativity, on controlling the big picture, the macro game, and applying the sort of philosophical pressure, aiming to craft moments, not just win fights.
Precisely. And they have clear strengths based on that. There's
Yeah.
huge global pressure, right? Bard and TF can threaten anywhere. You've got amazing zone control from Heimerdinger's turrets and Jhin's traps. Areas just become off limits.
And Zilean's ultimate, the revive,
Yeah.
that just completely changes how team fights play out. A second chance can flip everything.
Absolutely. Plus, they have really strong pick potential catching someone out.
Yeah.
Think about TF's gold card stun, Bard's binding Q, Jhin's long-range route, Zilean's double bombs.
Mhm.
They synergize really well for quick kills.
It leads to what the source calls team fight surrealism. Like every fight is this unpredictable narrative twist, not just a standard clash.
But, every strategy has weaknesses. This team is quite fragile, low on frontline, low durability. They can get blown up. And they really, really rely on synergy and understanding the map. Communication has to be top-notch. If they're not on the same page, it probably falls apart fast.
And vulnerable to teams that just dive straight in, right?
Yeah.
Hard engage if they get caught off guard.
Exactly. Teams that can close the gap quickly and just focus down one of their squishy members.
So thinking about all that, how would playing this team actually feel? It sounds less like brute force, more like finesse, maybe even a bit of a mind game.
That's a great way to put it. And it touches on something important. How the comp itself dictates a whole strategic philosophy. It's not just what you do, but how you think about the map.
So walk us through it, maybe early to late game.
Sure. So early game, Heimerdinger is mostly focused on controlling his lane, pushing waves, maybe drawing jungle attention. Bard is roaming, looking for chime upgrades, setting up ganks or invades with his tunnels.
And TF?
TF is playing relatively safe, farming up gold, really just waiting to hit level 6 so he gets his ultimate, Destiny. That's when his map pressure explodes.
Okay. And bot lane? Jhin and Zilean.
They're generally playing safe too, controlling the wave, using Zilean's bombs for poke and his speed boost for safety, while Jhin just scales up. Zilean's ult is a big safety net down there too.
Right. So then mid-game hits. Objectives become key, I imagine.
Exactly. Dragon, Rift Herald, Bard's ultimate to freeze enemies, TF's teleport for flanks or picks. They become crucial for setting up plays around those neutral objectives. They often, like a 1-3-1 split push setup.
Explain that quickly.
Yeah, so TF might be pushing one side lane, maybe Bard is hovering near him. Heimerdinger might hold the opposite side lane with his turrets, being hard to push against. And then Jhin and Zilean control the mid lane, the central corridor.
So they're stretching the map.
Totally. And zone denial's huge. Heimer's turrets, Shin's traps. They make fighting in the jungle or river incredibly dangerous for the enemy. Add TF flanking and Bard engaging, it gets chaotic.
Okay, and late game, what's the win condition?
Late game, Jhin and Zilean become really powerful damage and utility threats. Jhin's damage scales incredibly well. Zilean's cooldowns get lower. Twisted Fate becomes a pick machine. Find one person out of position, delete them.
And Bard's ult, still causing problems.
Always. That tempered fate keeps fights uneven, catches groups, saves allies. The win condition is often finding those picks with TF and Jhin's burst, controlling objective areas with Heimerdinger, and Zilean keeping the key damage dealers alive through anything.
So, matchups. Who do they like playing against? Who do they hate?
They do well against teams that lack mobility. TF and Bard can punish immobile champions easily, and Jhin likes it when enemies have to respect his range. They're also good against teams reliant on big objectives because Heimerdinger makes those fights really hard for the enemy.
And predictable teams.
Yeah, linear teamfight comps struggle. This team just distorts the battlefield too much with Bard, TF, Zilean. It messes up their straightforward plans.
But the weaknesses.
Hard engage and dive, definitely. Think Malphite, Hecarim. Champions that can just run at them and blow up Jhin or Heimer before they react. Also, high-sustain brawlers champs like Aatrox or Vladimir, who can heal through their poke and just walk them down in messy fights.
BDLs.
Pick comps that have really good vision control can be tough too. If the enemy can consistently find and kill Bard or TF before a fight, the whole strategy can crumble because they lose that global threat.
Okay, this team comp is fascinating enough, but now, the ultimate deep dive. The source actually imagines Kami as a champion. That's taking the concept even further.
It really is. The concept is Tommy, the iterative dreamer. He's envisioned as a mid-lane enchanter-artificer hybrid, someone who sculpts temporary realities, shifts the logic of the battlefield in these subtle, interesting ways.
The description says playing against him feels like fighting inside a dream workshop where the rules are being revised while you play.
Yeah. And his aesthetic sounds really cool too. Pastel blue and copper colors, swirling notebook scribbles, floating symbols, paper constellations, glowing glyphs representing metaphors. It embodies that creative process, imperfection, thinking in loops, adapting through art.
The notes mention inspirations like Bard, Karma, Victor, but maybe more. Introspective, and medium-high complexity to play.
Right, and the abilities are where this really comes alive. It shows a really deep grasp of game design and psychology, I think. His passive is Sketchbook of Possibility. Basically, casting basic abilities cycles through 4 concept glyphs: structure, chaos, surprise, legacy.
Okay, so what do the glyphs do?
They augment his next ability cast. So Tommy gets to choose, subtly, how his next action plays out. It mirrors that creative process, taking an initial idea and refining it through different lenses. It's like Jhin's ammo system meets Zilean's prep meets Bard's little meeps, but focused on creative control.
Cool. What about his cue?
His cue is Draft Burst. He throws out this looping line skill shot, damages and slows. But if a glyph is active, it changes. Chaos adds an area of effect burn. Structure shields a nearby ally. Surprise makes it bounce to another target. And Legacy creates a temporary illusion. It's literally like sketching an idea that evolves.
Wow, okay.
WW is Edit Timeline. After a short channel, he targets an area or an ally. On an ally, it restores health and mana they lost in the last, say, 3 seconds, like a mini rewind.
Like Zillian's ult, almost?
Well, sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
A mini Zilean R. But if cast on the ground, it removes enemy traps or projectiles in that zone, or even reverses their direction briefly. So it's also like a cleanse, a tactical undo button. Perfectly fits that non-linear narrative theme.
Okay,
E is Unfinished Blueprint. He places this inert thing, a construct. It doesn't do anything on its own, but if he hits it with his Q, it becomes a damage turret. If he uses his W on it, it becomes a healing station. If his passive interacts, it gives a bonus. If left alone for a bit, it explodes for vision.
It's like a combo piece you have to activate.
Exactly. The source calls it Tommy's puzzle box, a choose-your-own-combo setup. It really emphasizes that idea of assembling things, like a line cook, the source said.
Brilliant. And the ultimate has to be big.
It is. R is creative loop. Tommy opens a global portal, like to his inner workshop, at a target spot. Allies who step inside get cooldowns refreshed, their glyph effects boosted, movement speed. It's an inspiration zone.
And enemies.
If enemies walk in, they get hit with random disruptions tied to the glyphs, maybe a silence, reverse controls, a mini stun. It's described as kind of Bard's ult meets Rise's realm warp. Maybe a bit of Karthus ult channeling feel, but full of choice and chaos. A creative tempo reset.
Man, the sheer ingenuity here.
Yeah.
Designing a champion around such abstract ideas, around a philosophy. That line, reality is a first draft, let's edit it. That just perfectly sums him up.
It really does. And as a champion in lane, Tommy would likely have decent wave clear, probably not high kill pressure himself, but massive map impact. Not through kills, but by creating these unpredictable zones, offering resets, letting his team capitalize.
So he enables others.
Very much so. He'd work well with poke teams, artillery mages, teams that control vision well, siege comps, helping them reset, regroup, essentially rewrite mistakes mid-fight. His win condition is manipulating tempo, creating these zones where his team has the advantage because the rules feel different.
Symbolically, then, he's like the bridge between damage dealers and supports.
Exactly. A story weaver, the source calls him. The one who sort of explains how the rest of the team works together. And maybe even the emotional glue, providing utility and pacing that makes the game feel like a narrative unfolding.
And the inspirations make sense now, too.
Yeah.
Bard's whimsy, Zillian's time stuff, Victor's building things, Karma's flexibility, Ivern's, well, weirdness, and Jhin's artistry. It's all woven together.
It's a really coherent concept.
So we've really journeyed through how a person's unique way of thinking, their whole approach, can show up not just in a team they might choose, but, wow, even in the design of a game character. It shows how strategy, creativity, philosophy can all be distilled into game mechanics.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Now, consider for a moment how your own way of approaching things, your personal style, your core beliefs maybe. How might that translate into a game? If you were a champion, what would your abilities be?
Yeah, what kind of team would you lead? What would your inner workshop look like on the Rift?
It's just a fascinating thought exercise.
Definitely. We hope exploring these frameworks helps you think about complex things, maybe even yourself in some new and surprising ways.